And we are live. Welcome everybody to the KA Community Livestream. I'm Mrs. Quirk, and with me tonight, all the way from Oregon, Wisconsin, is Mrs. Wadley, owner of Karate America in Oregon, Wisconsin. Ma'am, it is so good to have you on the stream tonight. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm honored to be here. I really am.
Well, we're excited to have you, and you were sharing with me earlier that this is your first appearance on a live stream.
It is.
So we're so excited that your first, I'm sure, first of many appearances on live stream is with us. So welcome. And for any of your families from Oregon and the Oregon community that are joining us tonight, thank you so much for being here and part of our stream. And of course, to our Brookfield, Pewaukee, worldwide, everybody all across the country who has been tuning into our stream every Tuesday night at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. We're so excited to have you with us. We hope that you have lots of comments and questions for Mrs. Wadley tonight. We're going to be getting into it in just a moment. But first, of course, everybody who is joining the stream, veterans of the stream, you know that my staff has some announcements for us. So I do have a few exciting announcements. This Saturday, Black Belt graduation for our Karate America Brookfield and Karate America Pewaukee students and families is going to be at Hamilton Fine Arts Center this coming Saturday, May 22nd. If you have any questions whatsoever about how you can participate, if you can participate, what it all means, details, tickets, all those things, make sure you follow up with your Karate America team at Brookfield, at Pewaukee, at Karate America worldwide. They will get you all set up and get you the answers that you need. We also are having an extremely exciting event going on right now for our Brookfield, Pewaukee, and worldwide community. We are having Role Models Train Free. So May 10th through June 18th, if you have a role model in your life, like we've said before, whether you're 5 or 65, it doesn't matter. If somebody has influenced you, been a leader, been a role model, a caregiver for you, and you would love to give them the gift of a few weeks of free martial arts classes, see your team at Brookfield, Pewaukee, or worldwide, and they will get you all hooked up with some invitations. It's a phenomenal opportunity to just give back. In the spirit of Mother's Day, Father's Day in May and June, we wanted to extend that not just to moms and dads, but to any adult who has been an influence and a role model and a caregiver for us in our lives. So if you have questions about how to get your invitation and give a role model in your life who's been meaningful to you, an invitation for free karate at Karate America, no matter where they live too. So even if they live out of town, out of state, anywhere, they can train through our virtual worldwide academy, which is really exciting, May 10th through June 18th. Speaking of worldwide, hey, worldwide families, if you have your excellence badges for your kiddos, make sure that you post them. We'd love to see them. I think we got one last week of, if memory serves, I think it was a focus badge that was earned. It was really exciting to see that on our private Facebook group page, which is just for our families and students. It's a private group page. So go ahead, and if your son or daughter, if your child has earned their excellence badge in either self-discipline or focus, go ahead and post those pictures. I'm sure you're proud of them. Share a story about what they did, which behavior, which habit they showed at home to earn and solidify that focus and self-discipline badge. I'm sure that Mr. Pieper, Ms. DeWade, and the entire Karate America community would love to see them, see those badges. We do have, I know some of you know this already. It might be new to some of you. I know that it was new for me, trying new things. I respect tradition and embrace change. We do have a Twitch channel now. So our Twitch channel is KA Community, and it's all one word. Just type out KA Community if you are on Twitch. And we are not only streaming live on our public Facebook group pages, Karate America Brookfield, Karate America Pewaukee, and our YouTube channel, but also on Twitch now. So we're going to see how that goes. But we are branching out to see if we can reach as many people as possible, because that's what our community is all about. And last but not least, if you are on Facebook, go ahead and I think it's probably in the comments above. You can look how you can get into the stream through StreamYard, and then it'll authenticate you. And if you leave us a comment, which I really hope you do, I hope we get comments and questions on the live stream tonight. But if you would like to, then we won't just see you as a random Facebook user. We'll see your name, and we'll be able to address you by your name when you leave us a comment. So go ahead and do that before you comment, and then you will be actually authenticated. We'll see your name. YouTube and Twitch, I'm pretty sure that when you log on to YouTube, you're already authenticated and you're already all set to go. But just for our Facebook users, go ahead and let us know that you are here. We already, Mrs. Wadley, I don't know if you know this, but you already have a fan base. We have Mr. Pieper saying, Mrs. Wadley, great to have you on the stream tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Pieper. It's great to be here.
Yeah, good to have you, Mr. Pieper, on the stream tonight. So I hope that a lot of our worldwide families and worldwide adult students can join us tonight. I hope you've been making those announcements in class, sir. I'm sure that Mr. Kozlowski and Mr. Hansen have been. But let's get down to our topic tonight. So I wanted to bring you on, Mrs. Wadley, because like I said in the promo that we ran for you, you are a martial artist, you're a black belt, you're a small business owner, you're a leader, you're a role model. And not all of those things, let's be honest, always go together, to be completely honest, in our field, in professional martial arts, sometimes in small business. I know that things are changing and they're changing for the better, but I wanted to bring you on tonight to talk about your unique experience, some of which I share, some of it is completely different in those roles: martial artist, black belt, instructor, owner, small business owner. So why don't you start off and let our viewers know what has been your journey, your path? Like, how did you come to martial arts, and what sparked your interest in even giving it a try?
So for me, I was actually brought into martial arts through Mr. Reed, who is the founder of Karate America. And when I started running a school, I wasn't even a white belt, and I did not know very much at all about martial arts. It was through Mr. Reed's guidance that I learned and grew within the role of a business owner. And I didn't always listen to his advice, which is part of being a new business owner.
Yep.
And so it was really just kind of, I didn't know very much about martial arts, but I knew kids. And I knew that I had a desire to help people and to want to see them benefit from from martial arts training. So that's really what brought me into it. And then from there, it was expanding upon the program, adding in after school program and a summer camp. And because I knew kids, those were the programs that I really tended to excel at.
Okay.
And it was, so that area was fairly easy for me, with a lot of guidance from different industry leaders that Mr. Reed brought in, as well as, his, personal help. And the martial arts program is something that took a little bit longer for me to navigate and be successful in, just because I was a white belt and I had my own journey as well.
Well, talk about courage. I mean, talk about courage, right? Stepping into that ownership position. For anybody watching the stream that doesn't know, a white belt is the first belt up after a no belt on the way to black belt. So talk about courage, stepping into that industry as a leader, as an owner at white belt. I think that's really commendable. I don't know a lot of people that would have had the courage to do that.
It was scary. Mr. Reed is somebody who is an industry leader, and so has access to so many people throughout the country, and was always, making connections and relationships with different people. And I have, I've benefited from that a lot, and being able to travel to different areas and train with different people. There's actually a picture. I wish I would have thought to find it for this cast, and then maybe not. But I was training with actually Master Clark, who owns several schools in Florida. And I was I think I was an orange belt, maybe a gold belt. Okay. And I got thrown into a training with all these black belts from all over, and I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified, and I looked like a puppy in the picture that is just like back in the corner. And so, yeah, there was a lot of scary moments. There was also a lot of really cool moments, just to know that I was able to meet with different people that were successful and that were willing to guide me and to offer advice and just be there to help.
Yeah, I think that is really phenomenal, and that does take a lot of courage. But I think too, I mean, I've known you now for several years and worked with you and had a collaborative relationship with you, and been able to just kind of see, even though from afar, how you deal with challenges and how you step up to obstacles and hurdles, of which, being a small business owner, especially in 2020 and post 2020, there are many. And I'm making up a story, and you can tell me whether this is accurate or not, but I'm making up a story that, in addition to having, this mentorship and advice from others, there were times when you had to go with your own voice. right? And there is no manual.
Right.
Sometimes there is when we're talking about like licensed, childcare providers for after school summer camp. But quite often, I mean, in all honesty, there is no manual. There's no manual in leadership and team development. And just sometimes we have to go with the best option out of several not really great options. And I know that from your experience, you know what that feels like.
Right.
So what was that like? Have you over the years found your voice even more? Yes, to all the great input and support and advice from others, but I've seen you grow in competence and confidence and the caliber of leader that you are and the owner that you are. Do you feel that as well? Did you find your own voice, and what was that like navigating that?
Yeah, I feel like I did. For as outgoing as what I am and outspoken sometimes, when it would when it would come to making decisions for my school, I am very much a person who wants things to be perfect. And that was one of the hardest things for me, was realizing that it's not going to be perfect and it can never be perfect. And you just have to make a choice and go forward with that decision. And look, as a business owner, it's oftentimes going to be wrong. And so there's those inner turmoil battles I would have, paralysis by analysis. And it was actually
perfect being the enemy of good.
What was that?
And perfect being the enemy of good.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, so we don't move. And then
right.
What do you know? We don't even have good. Right.
Yeah. And Mr. Quirk actually did a bit of work with me on that. And, really, I think he was one of the first people to lay it in terms that connected with me of, look, it's not always going to be right. And if it's wrong, you're going to hit a wall, and then you're just going to go left or right. Right. And you're going to make a change. You're going to adjust and change that course. And then from there, it was me being resolute in those decisions, so much so that I tattooed it to my wrist.
Yes, you did. Look at that.
And it was,
That's
that
commitment.
really, to this day is still a very constant reminder when I question myself, or I know that in my gut, it's the right thing to do, but there's, maybe a little bit of, pushback or wonder from other team members of, is this the right course? And just going, yep, you know what, this is what I think is right for our company, and we're going to move forward with it. And that's how you learn and grow. And for me, there's been a lot of learning and growing.
Yeah. Well, and I think you bring up a really good point with, hearing other voices. And I think sometimes as leaders, it is difficult and challenging because not everybody has the lens that we have. Right. And they're not supposed to. There's no way that they could. So we literally see it all, not all of it, but we're seeing things from like a 30,000, 40,000 foot seat and trying to know that if I make this decision, it impacts this, and then that moves, and then this shifts, and then what about this, and then what about 5 years from now, and am I putting something into place that actually could impact 15, 20 years down the road? I mean, it's a lot to hold and a lot of plates to spin. And sometimes we have people, around us who, with the best intentions, care very much, want the best for us, want the best for the organization. And what is also true is that they might hold 3 or 4 or 5 of those pieces. Right. And we're holding 75 or 85. And it's our job to do that. There's no violins being played. There's no drama about it. That's just how it is. Right. And so it is difficult to sort of stand our ground, I think, as leaders sometimes, and know darn well that it could be wrong. Right. To your other great point, it's like we are human beings. However, what I think is very similar with our company and your company is that we are so rooted and we are so cemented with our purpose and values. It keeps coming up. This is a theme, right? But it's like if we have our purpose and we have our values and we are steadfast in those. And I tell my team, we have our purpose, we have our values, we have our communication tools, and we have each other. And we will figure it out. We will get through this. And Mr. Quirk really taught me that over the years. I mean, I used to be much more like, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And not moving out of fear. And learning that, moving out of love is actually quite courageous. It's actually it sounds good, but it's actually quite difficult sometimes and quite courageous to just let go of that blanket of fear and just say, we're going to figure it out no matter, come what may, we will figure this out together. Right. And have you found that too with your team? Because I know for you all and at the Oregon team, you're very much rooted in purpose and values.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really has been in the training with Credit America Brookfield that we've been able to progress as far as what we have. Being able to, root out mooses and communicate openly, honestly, and on purpose, using the safe space tools, lessening the drama considerably to the point at which it's so rare. And when I hear anything outside of our spectrum with drama or any of that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, how do you do that?
Is that amazing?
Because, and we did have some of that, before we started training with Credit America Brookfield. And so to have those tools and to be able to communicate like that has just, it's been incredible for our team. It really has.
Well, thank you. And, the kudos to you and to your team is, and you stand, in my opinion, maybe not alone, but you are in the minority because you're one of the owners that wanted to know, what is this magic that you're doing? Tell me more. I want to have those results too. And once it was explained to you, you took the seminar with Mr. Mick and then you did the work. Mm-hmm. And that's the key. I mean, anybody can go to a seminar, anybody can get the materials in a folder and be like, oh, I got some great tips today. Mm-hmm. It is another thing altogether for years to continuously show up day after day after day and do that work with yourself and with your team.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you doing that work, I would say, is the difference between it being all of that, the purpose and the values, the communication working, and it just being another thing, another flavor of the month. I think that's really kudos to you as a leader and to you as and your team. So for anybody who is just joining us, we are live tonight with Mrs. Wadley. She is the owner of Karate America in Oregon. If you have any questions, any comments, if you want to leave some emojis, just let us know that you're on the stream tonight. Let Mrs. Wadley know that you're on the stream tonight. You can leave us some black belt emojis. You can leave, how many degrees are you, Mrs. Wadley?
Second degree, ma'am.
She's a second degree black belt. So go ahead and leave her 2 black heart emojis. If you think that it's great that she came on to the stream tonight, let us know that you're with us. Let us know what questions you have tonight. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about maybe having a different voice and a different lens than whatever the status quo is and whatever our field is in leadership and being a role model. So getting back to that, Mrs. Wadley, I know you and I have talked about this before several times. But let's be honest, in the martial arts, the traditional owner, the traditional leader of an organization is usually male, right? And usually a multiple degree black belt. Up until not too long ago, they're usually some kind of a, national championship holder. I mean, the accolades go on and on. Not that that's not super well deserved, but we're learning now as the world changes that that's not the only model of leadership. And I think you're a great example of that. So can you talk to us about maybe what have you experienced, maybe some challenges, being a female leader in our owner in our industry?
Yeah, several things. So first off, not even being a white belt, being a woman, not having a ton of experience in the industry and really just starting out. It was really hard. And I did feel many times that I don't want to say that I wasn't respected, but I want to say that I don't know that I was given the level of confidence that I needed to, be the best role model and owner that I could be. I feel like that may have been more so if I was a male. But on the same side of that, I did meet so many incredible people that were willing to help and to give advice and to, help me learn and guide. So it was kind of a double-edged sword, honestly.
Yeah. So I don't know, Mrs. Whaley, are you seeing me clearly now? Because I know when we tested earlier, I had some internet connection problems. Am I okay now?
Yeah, I do see you. Yeah, I've not had any issues at all.
Okay, great. So if anybody watching from home, I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of internet connectivity. So if I kind of freeze up, we're sort of live in the moment, just broadcasting over StreamYard. So we'll get through it as best we can, but I'm not quite sure what's going on with my internet connection tonight, that it might be a little wonky. Thank you for that. We have actually a comment here. Mrs. Wadley, as a woman in one of the many male-dominated areas of life, your story is amazingly encouraging and empowering. I'm almost 36 and just starting as my family are one after the other, getting their first degree black belts. I was super nervous to start last week. Thank you for what you do. Wow.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that.
What a great comment, huh?
Yeah, that
That's
makes me feel
awesome.
really great.
That's awesome. And I think too, it's like, we have some people on the stream here showing support and giving you encouragement and thanking you. And I think that sometimes we forget sometimes in the martial arts, or I know a lot of my, friends and loved ones and coworkers and colleagues who are male, forget in the martial arts, especially these days, right? And you and I kind of grew up in a slightly different generation, but we didn't see a lot of women and a lot of females as being these strong, powerful, resolute leaders, right? Very often women had different roles that we played in the action movies and, those kinds of things that as kids and as young people and even as young adults, we really look up to. And I've said before, it matters to see somebody who looks like me be in that leadership position. And when I don't see somebody who looks like me, of course I can look to men and people that don't look just like me. And of course I can extrapolate and get leadership, pieces from that relationship. But so powerful when somebody who's just like me is doing that. So have you found, and what I've noticed too, in your academy in KA Oregon, you have female instructors, you have female leaders, you have female young role models. I create a story that it makes a difference seeing you at the head of your organization, and that you do have people who aren't just aren't just male stepping into those roles. Have you found that as well? Have you ever had those conversations with your team members?
I have. We've got a couple of team members right now who I've got one instructor. She's actually been with me since she was 5 years old. She was one of the first kiddos in my after school program, which is kind of cool. And she is in our legacy program. And we've had several conversations about what kind of a role model she is for the young girls in our school, and also how parents view our school with more women instructors than male instructors, because it's actually been that way for a bit now.
Yeah.
And it feels good. And it feels good to see the male students in our school, both adults and kids, still just like loving our female instructors and really building great relationships. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a really great mix of what we have. Don't get me wrong, Mr. Holt is also an incredible instructor, and
absolutely.
And so I don't want to negate his abilities, because he's really been.
No, he's gonna be one of the greats someday. That Mr. Holt. Yeah. So if you're all from KA Oregon, you haven't asked him for his autograph yet, make sure you do, because someday in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame, you're gonna want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal instructor. But you have just such a great team, and I love that. It is really, really interesting that we get what we focus on, and we get what just sort of when we be and our energy. And that's something that, I think is really unique for your academy when you talk about sort of the ratio of girl and women role models and leaders that you have. It's just so important. And I create the story that just brings more girls into the program, and more girls, and they might not even connect it in their brain or be able to articulate it, but it is very powerful to walk into a situation where, as a brand new little, no belt or white belt, I might be intimidated as it is. And then I look around and see all these young women and all these girls in leadership positions. It's really reassuring. I also think, and I'd love to hear your take on this, because I know you have some very important men in your family, in your life, some guys and some little guys. I mean, I think that it's important for boys too, and men, to see, to your point, to see women in these role model positions, especially our younger boys, to see that and have it be just like no big deal. Right. Where maybe 10 or 15 or 20 or 25 or 35 years ago, that would have been a big deal. Right. For a little boy, let's be honest, to take class from a woman instructor, a female instructor, a young lady instructor. Today, not so much. And I think people like you and your team are really forging that and making that difference out there in the trenches, being that role model, being that difference that you wish to see in the world every day. So what's your opinion on the healthiness of seeing female role models for boys?
Yeah, one of the biggest impacts that I think I've seen over the years is the relationships with moms, and just the respect etiquette that our boys have towards their moms, towards our female team members, instructors, after school programs, summer camp, role models, and even their teachers at school. And I've had parents over the years say, we're so happy that you guys have female instructors, because it really helps our sons to understand that we respect everyone. It's not just about showing the most respect to dad or grandpa or the males in their life, but that, we treat everyone with dignity and respect. And that's one of our values. So we just live it, and we teach them how to live it. I think Mrs. Quirk is, you're back.
Here I am.
I
We're
was just
having
like,
a really interesting live stream tonight, guys. This is no extra charge. You're going to get these little moments of magic. I tell everybody that you were on that live stream that one night when it kept freezing up and being weird and awkward. It's going to be like a collector's edition on YouTube. So sorry about that. We're doing the best we can. We do have some questions here. Mrs. Wadley, do you have children involved in the program? Being a mom of 4, I cannot imagine what it's like to juggle it all. So talking about family, kids, responsibilities, and running a business, please speak to that.
Yeah. So I was recently married in November, and I gained 2 sons, an 8 and an 11-year-old. And yes, they do train in martial arts, and that part is awesome. And well, it's one of the most awesome parts, because I love to see kids in martial arts. So I'm really happy that they were involved in a program and are training. But yeah, it is hard I have found out firsthand over the last 6 months just how hard it is to be a mom and a business owner and a wife. So
and keep up with your own training and
yeah. I mean, like things like just planning at least one great family style, really great home cooked from scratch meal every week is one of my big things. And the kids are really appreciative of that. So it just encourages me and makes me want to be more creative in what I find for them.
And you've got home cooking in your blood, because you grew up on a farm in Wisconsin.
Yes,
so if anybody's wondering where that wonderful work ethic came from, I think it had something to do with that.
Yeah. And I look back on, we grew up, as you said, we grew up on a farm, family of 7, 5 boys, 2 girls, dairy farm. And, one of the things that I look back on now is, and I can't go to my mom because she passed away about a year ago in April. But there's times I would love to go back to her and be like, oh my gosh, you had 7 of us. And how did you do all of that and make great meals and, make sure that we had our schoolwork done and the laundry was done and, and still spend great time with us. So, yeah, it is hard. It really is, but you've got to find that balance, and it takes planning. Every night before I go to bed, I'm looking at my planner for the week, and I'm writing down things I may have forgotten or things I need to do, and just making sure that I'm fitting it all in. And then one of the most important things is asking for help when I can't do all of it.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me, because that is not in my DNA. I am not an asker. I'm going to do it all.
Yeah. Right. Yep. I know that about you. But I also know that when we were speaking earlier, some of the greatest things you've been able to accomplish have been because you have reached out and asked for advice and help and support, at least, in your business. So I love that you're able to sort of balance both. I will figure this out. And oh, by the way, is there somebody out there that can actually help me out and answer a question here? Mr. Quirk is asking, Mrs. Wadley, what advice would you give to young female leaders in our organization?
I would say to them that martial arts is just the beginning of what you can do with your life. I mean, the benefits are so great, and it's not just one thing, because everybody needs something different. But staying the course of just, I know that Mr. Quirk calls it his true north, and that it really resonates with me. I mean, that terminology does, and being able to use that as your true north it's it's incredible when you really just stop and say, all right, what is my true north? What are the purpose and values that we live by? What are the tools that I have? And these tools aren't just used in martial arts. They're used in your entire life. If I would have had access to these kinds of tools at a young age, I don't even know where I would be right now.
Agreed. Same.
Yeah. And so, I mean, to have them now, I'm just extremely grateful for. But for younger women, man, it's just wide open. It's absolutely wide open.
Yeah. The world is our oyster, right? And choice is a powerful, powerful thing.
Absolutely.
And I think too, I think as women stepping into leadership roles, taking leadership roles, sometimes, at least in my experience, it's like, I think we don't always, and I'm not just talking about our literal physical voices, but our lenses, our takes on things, the way we handle decisions, the way we handle whatever leading is sometimes different. It's from a different angle. It's from a different set of lived experiences than for sort of the traditional male like leadership role. And, you and I have a little bit in common. I mean, you certainly far surpassed me absolutely by millions of percentage points in your training, because you are a multiple degree black belt and you're an instructor and all those things. But, I too came into this piece of, I worked in martial arts before I knew Mr. Quirk. That's how we met. But when we, decided to be sort of co-owning and co-running the business together, I certainly I still am not a black belt, not really training, not into training, certainly don't have like garages full of trophies like he does behind him, right? Don't even have one. And so it is a little bit, I think when we talk about inside out and outside in, I think for me, at least, it takes courage to even bring my voice out and to even say, what do I have to contribute to this conversation or this decision? And what I really think for me, Mr. Quirk and I are married, we're partners. For you, you're doing it all on your own, right? And there is no sort of other person to default to. And so here's the call, almost like a single parent in a family. It's like, here's the call and we're going with it. And I wonder how much more that had to push you to grow than for somebody who might have had somebody to, be a partner with, to be honest. I mean, it's like you had no safety net. You had to grow in these areas because it was you and nothing. Right. And so I wonder if some of the things maybe that you look back at that were scary or were difficult actually were your biggest times of growth and areas of growth as a leader.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, it would be unfair to say that I didn't have any support. Mr. Reed and I were together for a number of years and we did work together. Not always the best. You've got an old school guy who says, this is the way I want to go. And you've got me saying different ideas. Sure, I agree with this, but we had a little bit different personality type when it came to actually running a business.
Sure.
But so I did have some really great and positive things from him. And if not directly from him, then people he was able to set me up with that, maybe aligned a little bit better, that we could work better together. But there were also many times that I didn't have that support. Absolutely. And I just had to figure it out. And so you lose sleep at night. You put off your own health and well-being. You're not living a healthy, balanced lifestyle sometimes because you're figuring out, how do I do this? And you just go and you work and you try. And all right, this works, and this is what we're going to go with.
Here we go.
And
we'll build the plane as we fly it. We love that one in our company.
Look, you have to do it sometimes. That's just life.
Right. We got a question here from Mrs. Roberts. Good to have you on the stream tonight, ma'am. My two littles are starting with K.A. Brookfield on Thursday. We're so excited. My daughter's 6 and is autistic. I'd love to hear how martial arts will benefit her. What do you have to say to that, Ms. Wadley?
So we actually have a couple of kiddos who are autistic that we started in our after school program a couple of years ago. And if anybody knows me, they know that I am a rescuer. They know that I will fight for anyone, and that any kid that walks through my door, I will say, yeah, let's give it a whirl. And through the martial arts training for these two kids specifically, they've really learned some great self-control. Their social skills have improved greatly.
Yeah.
And I would say that those are the two top things that they've learned in our program. And
Yeah.
they are excelling through their belts. They are a joy to have in class. And honestly, sometimes their listening skills are better than kids who are not autistic. It's incredible. And it is so rewarding to see. And I love it. So I'm really excited for you that your daughter is starting, and I'm excited for her journey because I know she's going to do really well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to hear. Mrs. Pieper is asking, what challenges, if any, did you face from the area community as a female leader? What was the biggest challenge in running your business?
Yeah, I don't know from the community as much that I experienced any adversity. As a matter of fact, there were some business owners in our community that actually came to me and said, look, it's not so much about the fact that you are a female business owner, it's that you're a new business owner and you didn't grow up in this community.
A small town.
Small town, exactly. But I was like, bring it on.
And now, I mean, I don't know that you even have, there's nobody who can compete with you in your whole area. I mean, you run such an amazing program. And like you said, I mean, your summer camp program and your after school program, if anybody is watching or listening from the Oregon, Wisconsin area, please say a little bit about the programs that you guys run. It's really spectacular.
Yeah. So, again, the traditional martial arts, and then we've got our after school program. Yep. That has, we grown to the point that we purchased an additional space. So we've got 2 buildings on our campus, one specifically for our 5 and 6 year olds and one for 7 and up. So that growth has been tremendous in both after school and summer camp. And it's just great to see the community behind us and see the growth of our kids over the years.
Yeah. Talking about growth over the years, what changes have you seen in your team over the years from when you very first started to now?
Oh, it's night and day, ma'am.
Yeah, say more.
It is, just having more experience in running a business, more experience in the industry itself, finding the right mentor to help me through and navigate as things change. And I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but just the training that we've received from Karate America Brookfield, purpose, value, safe space, using the tools, it's made a huge difference in how we communicate with each other, and just the way that people are willing to take those tools, learn them, and say, all right, now I want more. I'm using these tools. I'm using them effectively. How else can I grow? And that is the night and day. Back, even 6 years ago, I didn't have that. And now it's just like they're coming out of the woodwork, and it's really awesome.
That is awesome. Do you find that, because I know a lot of the training and the work that we do, and your team is part of that, you are part of that, certainly Mr. Holt is part of that, is being explicit and the explicitness in all areas of life. So explicit about my goals, explicit about behaviors, about expectations, about my numbers, about my fiscal, right? You strike me as a very detail-oriented, perfectionist, precision person. And yet, you and I have worked, and you and Mr. Cork and I have worked there. I think it's just, as a business owner, we aren't always explicit as we think we are being. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about that? And if anything in your explicitness or explicitness has shifted with your team and what you found in that area?
Yes, I can. So since having these tools and growing and learning myself in the use of them, it has caused me to, if I have a task to assign, or if I have a specific goal, I've really learned how to peel back the layers and say, okay, so here's what I initially want. And then, is that really what I want? No, I want this. Oh, okay. Well, how do I get there? And that's one of the biggest things is just that peeling back of the layers, and knowing that it's not the first question is literally just the first question. There's 50 more to ask before sometimes I get to an absolute bullseye of, this is exactly it. This is, I don't know that I could be more explicit than this.
Yeah. And then I feel like that's a great point. And then I feel like when we are that explicit with ourselves, as leaders, it's like for me, at least, it wakes me up and to like, oh, I thought I was being really explicit with expectations for my team. And I just wasn't. I was not awake, right? To be professional, do this well, say this, don't say that, do it the right way, have common sense, things like that. And then we learn that, and then we wonder why we aren't getting the results that we want when we haven't even really made the results that we want clear, or the way to get there clear. And I think you bring up a really astute point, because sometimes it's because I'm not even really clear with myself. Right. I know I want growth. Well, how many percentage points growth per month, per quarter, per year? I know I want to have a successful event. Well, what does successful mean? Right. And actually assigning numbers to it. And we have a weekly meeting, and you guys with the Oregon team are part of it. And I think another big piece, and you can talk a little bit about, I'd love to hear your take on this, but this is accountability. And accountability, I think, has been huge for me personally and for our team. And I think I've said this on live streams before, and I've said it in trainings before, because I really believe I've personally never met anybody that I talk to about accountability and they say, oh, no, thanks. And literally everybody's like, absolutely. I'm all for accountability. Yes, totally. Hold me accountable. 100% love it. And then that first time, in the moment, in front of people, whatever it might be, I'm held accountable. It's like, whoa, it feels, it's one thing to talk about it. It's another to actually have somebody love me enough and be kind enough to hold me accountable. Right. And then how to navigate that relationship in those situations. Because a lot of times, we've talked about this before, I think a lot of us see accountability as blame and shame and bad and judgment. And that's a big shift that in my experience, it's been really actually quite difficult to make. And I think you've done I've experienced you being held accountable, you holding others accountable, some really tough times. And you've impressed me as being really tough, right? And walking your talk of being like, and just swallowing that feedback. And it's almost never things that we want to hear, because it's never like, you're awesome. It's like, hey, we need to talk about this behavior. And you are the boss, you are the leader, you can walk whenever you want, and you don't. You can make excuses whenever you want, and you don't. And I have a story created that trickles down to your team. Would you agree? What's been your experience with our version of accountability?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I remember, I don't remember the exact first time I was held accountable in L10, but I remember the feeling. And it was one of the first times that I went immediately to, fear and blame. And on the way home, because we've got an hour and a half drive home, right? I really took some time to think about, all right, well, why do you feel that way? You're with a team that cares about you. They're mentors for you. They want to see you succeed. So it really came down to me making myself accountable for how I felt, and also looking at the facts of it. And what it comes down to is it came from a place of love. And that is one thing that I think about all the time, is if I am addressing anyone and it has to do with accountability, I'm really making sure that I'm coming from a place of love. That's always my intention. And I think that's what makes the difference. And then also stating our intention, look, this comes from a place of love, and I'd like to talk to you about this. And that just, it made such a big difference for our team to start practicing that, and then holding that every time we have a conversation.
Yeah. I think that's it's huge. It's like, what is it? Like, don't correct out of anger. Don't drive angry. Don't email or text back when I'm angry, right? All those things. And then, I think sometimes as leaders, it can't, listen, we're human beings. So things do get frustrating when results aren't met, expectations aren't met. And sometimes it can be difficult to remember. However, I agree with you. One of the for us, a big focusing piece is this in purpose? What is my purpose in all things? We inspire people to believe in themselves. And so even if I'm going to give somebody a difficult piece of feedback, how do I inspire them to believe in themselves? Which is no small feat, right? Like, this is not about like applauding like an awesome form. It's about having a really difficult conversation that it could go sideways very easily. How do I live purpose for this person in this moment? And I think even those of us or people listening who don't have an explicitly defined purpose, to your point, it's like, how do I do this out of love? Even if this is negative, even if, the anger is just for me. Somebody said that to me once, or I saw it, I can't remember where I heard this, but it's like, lose the guilt and the blame and the shame and the anger, because nobody needs that but you.
Right.
You're talking to me, right? It's like, nobody needs that but me. Oh, but I feel so bad. I feel so guilty. Lose that. No, but that's actually quite selfish.
Right.
Because it doesn't benefit the situation. It doesn't benefit the person I'm dealing with, the team, the organization, the community. What am I here for? I'm here for a purpose. And there's just simply no place for judgment, anger, blame, shame, guilt. And this isn't like being Pollyanna. I mean, this is actually very, hard-nosed, practical leadership skills right here. This is actually really, really difficult. Most of us will default to some form, even if it's just a little bit of an edge to it, of blame, shame, guilt, finger pointing, anger, frustration. And I think looking at behaviors and habits, not the person, and then being really explicit and really, we call it, it's another MIC tool, being kind, not nice. And having those conversations, it's like, look, it's bubbling underneath the surface anyway. If I let something go, let's just talk about it right now. Right. Because this, whatever the behavior that I just saw, I'm going to see it again. Right. I mean, it doesn't just magically go away. This is going to show up, but it's probably going to be at even deeper level. So let's talk about it now, because it would. And then to your point, when I have those conversations with people, it's like, please know that we're having this conversation because I love you and I care about you. Because if I didn't, it would be so easy for me to not have this conversation. Right. Trust me. Right. And when I believe my experience and what people have shared with me is that when team members really understand that, those conversations go differently. They're not always easy or fun, right? But at least we're being authentic and we're being honest with each other.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, am I back?
You're back.
All right. Thanks for hanging in there with me tonight, guys. We might have to end our stream a little bit early tonight because obviously whatever's going on with my internet connection is just not so good tonight. But for anybody listening, and we've been talking about tools, the communication tools. If you're interested in learning more about them, Mr. Quirk and I say this ad nauseum. Our mentor, our guide, and our teacher, facilitator, coach through all of these tools is Mr. Rudy Mick. He was on our live stream guest several weeks ago. He's an incredible developer and creator of these tools. If you want to learn more about them, I encourage you to go to his website. It's mick.com. So it's miick.com. If you're interested in how to get, your organization involved with the MIC tools, just want to put a little shout out there for Mr. Mick because his tools are definitely game changing, at least for our organization. They have been, I think, for years too, Mrs. Wadley.
Absolutely.
I also have another announcement here that I forgot to put in. Mr. Quirk is doing a great job of reminding me that I just want to get this in before we end our stream and take any last questions for anybody. So we do have a fantastic student seminar coming up on June 26th, and that's going to be held at Karate America Brookfield. We're going to be hosting Mr. Roland Osborne. He is an incredible world-renowned martial artist. Used to have a show on the Discovery Channel. He's based out in California. He travels all over the world. He does incredible things with students with motivation through martial arts. If you haven't taken a Roland Osborne seminar before, I highly recommend that you do. You can find out more about this seminar, the pricing, getting admission to it, because I know because of some COVID restrictions, that it's going to be a limited capacity. So if you're even vaguely interested in the seminar on June 26th, please see your team ASAP. Call Brookfield, call Pewaukee, contact Worldwide. I don't know, Mrs. Wadley, if your Oregon people are going to be participating in that or not. If they are interested, if they can contact your team.
Right. Yes, we will be promoting it.
Okay. Yep. So if you are a KA Oregon member, student, family, and you're interested, make sure you follow up with your team at Karate America Oregon to find out more about that. And again, that is going to be on June 26th at Karate America Brookfield with Roland Osborne. He's flying out from California in person to do this seminar. You do not want to miss this. You don't want to miss this for your kids. So we're going to be putting out much more information about that, but make sure you follow up at your academy to learn more. So Mrs. Whaley, do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about on the stream tonight? Anything for anybody watching that any kind of advice or any closing thoughts or remarks on leadership, role models, running a business, what it's like to be a woman and a wife and a mom and doing all these things and doing them so successfully, and training and a second degree black belt as you are. Any kind of closing remarks or advice for anybody listening?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So one, I do want to say that if you have the opportunity to do the training with Mr. Osborne, that you would absolutely do it. I have had the opportunity to train with him and his team a couple of times, and it's outstanding. And just to be able to grow either as a martial artist or as an instructor is just, he does an incredible job. And like Mrs. Quirk said, he was on the Discovery Channel. He has literally been all over the world. He has trained with so many different martial artists and so many different styles. And he's an incredibly giving person. And just, you guys don't want to miss it. Just don't want to miss it.
He's so nice and down to earth. I mean, he's just world class. He really is.
He is. Yeah, he's a great person.
Agreed.
So I highly encourage it. I guess in closing, what I would say is one of the biggest things for me that really turned was finding the right mentor, because in a business you need to have a mentor. And I was told that by many years by a lot of different people, and I would think that I had found someone that worked, and I did find several people that worked for a while, but sometimes you come to a crossroads and you go, you know what, that just isn't, it's not resonating with me any longer. It's okay to take what you've gotten from that person and find somebody else that will be a good fit for you. And I do not know what I would do without Mr. and Mrs. Quirk. I mean, I really don't. I know this is your podcast and I haven't been paid to say any of this, but know that I would be at an incredible loss without Mr. and Mrs. Quirk in my life. And I'm not just saying that. Just how they live their lives, how they operate from purpose and values, everything they do just resonates with me. And so I'm incredibly blessed to feel and to know that I have found that mentor. My life would be very empty without the two of them in it, in many ways. So that is the biggest thing, is just finding the right mentor. And then, if you've got a family, you've got to find that balance and ask for help. For a long time, I didn't ask for help. Even before I didn't have a family, I still didn't ask for help. And now I just know that I've got to have the confidence in my team. And I do, because I have the tools that I need to be able to delegate and feel as though we have the proper communication to make sure that we're effective, and then check in often with your team. That would be another key point.
I love that. Yeah. Ask for help, communication, mentors. Those are all really great. Thank you for the kind words that you said about me and Mr. Quirk. You are not supposed to leave the host of the live stream speechless, Mrs. Whaley. If you ever come back, that's one thing we work on with you. You're not supposed to get me all choked up and speechless there at the end.
Sorry, ma'am.
That's all right. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the stream.
Thank you.
Tonight.
I really appreciate it.
I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too.
I did.
I apologize for the technical glitches, but I think we soldiered through. It made it a unique episode. Yep. And hopefully we won't have this problem next week. So please join us. Thank you for your time, Mrs. Whaley. To your point, you're a very busy woman, so I really appreciate you taking an hour out of your time tonight and all the time
Absolutely.
to prepare for the episode. If you are, if anybody's listening, they want to find out more about Karate America Oregon, where can they go?
So they can go to our website, which is kaoregon.com. You guys can also email Sarah at kaoregon.com. And our phone number is 608-835-9554.
Awesome. Say it one more time, just in case somebody had to jot that down.
608-835-9554.
Nice. And please join us next week. We will be back next week Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Mr. Quirk and I are going to be talking about what it takes to be a Karate America instructor, martial arts instructor, and some really new and exciting things that we have coming out in our instructor training and certification program. If you have a picture in your mind of what it takes to be a martial arts instructor, you should tune in next week because you just might be surprised. Our purpose at Karate America is we inspire people to believe in themselves. And thank you for being here. Please, if you are inclined, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Watch us on Twitch, follow us and subscribe to us on Twitch, and share our live stream with anybody out in social media that you think would be benefit being a part of our community. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next Tuesday.